Welcome back to our Hours Walk. How are you all doing? Lots to talk about this week. Charles in goal. Some fans are saying keep him in goal now for the rest of the season. Playoffs are now over after that Cardiff result. Danny's starting 11 and the consortium. Where is that going and where are we up to? We've got Matt and Tom to talk all things Sheffield Wednesday for 20 minutes. Thanks so much for joining us. How are you both doing? Got to ask you straight away, as we always kind of do, Matt. Can we stop talking about playoffs now? Is that the easiest thing to do?
It would be the easiest thing to do, Mark. But again, actually, with the result of the weekend, we're a point closer. So every cloud. Yeah, I mean, both myself and Tom have been very vocal on this in terms of not thinking that we're going to get there. But ultimately, while it's still mathematically possible, you still have to back the players. I will stick to that official party line. I said it right at the start of the season. I'm not changing my tune now. If you can get to Easter and still be in touching distance, that's a fantastic season. So I'm not going to change my tune now.
Okay. All right, then let's get some social media takes on the game, shall we, and get your views on some of them, some interesting ones this week. Tom Cole here says first half was one of, if not the worst of the season. Even in second, not that great. Play like that and we don't get playoffs with some of the teams we've got to play, but then there's still a good chance. Keep Charles in goal for the rest of the games too. Chazza was a bit more direct in saying it was, WANK, but better than Nout. Proper Sheffield slang there. Right, Tom, let's talk about Charles in goal first of all. That was surprising, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we all thought Beadle would probably be in, but yeah, I think it's probably looking to the future. I'm surprised maybe that Heyman didn't get the shout if we're just trying to get playoffs to the end of the season, but yeah, I don't think he did much wrong. I don't think he had too much to do. And then you still have, some geezer saying, he wants him to kick it long, wanting prime Kieran Westwood, and he's like a 19-year-old. So I think we need to just, try develop him, get him a new contract, and then he'll be worth a lot of money in the future, hopefully.
Yeah, it's good planning this by Danny and the coaches, Matt, though, isn't it? 7 games to go and planning for the future in goal.
I think there's an element of that, Mark. I think there's also an element of people actually having a very honest and open discussion about James Beadle's most recent dip in form, because since the error against Coventry for where he dropped the catch for Ellis Sims, he hasn't looked comfortable. And then when he played for the under-21s, as every Sheffield United fan reminded us because they were watching it, he was poor in both of the games. He played against France. There was 2 absolute howlers in there, if we're being completely honest. And then he played against Portugal and got hooked on 45 minutes. I agree with Tom. I think if you're looking at a playoff push, I would have liked to have seen the experienced championship keeper come in, because that's what he was brought in at the start of the season for, to challenge James Beadle. But I understand the way that Pierce Charles's career away from Sheffield Wednesday has gone. He's a full international. He's played more games for his national side than he has Sheffield Wednesday. I've got no problem with it. And as Tom said, he did nothing to make you go, oh my word, what is going on here? He was very, very steady away. And for the next 18 months, 2 years, people just need to get off his back and stop actually criticising or even begin to criticise him, because he is a young lad making his way in the game.
Well said. We spoke to our Cardiff fans, as we always do across all 24. They weren't very happy with Barry Bannon, Tom. Their words, this, I'll try and paraphrase it as best I can. They essentially were saying that from minute 1 till minute 90, he was in the referee's ear the whole game, complaining about everything. Every decision, he ran and sprinted towards the referee, to the point where they thought it was bordering on almost criminal, the way he was harassing the referee. I mean, without your Wednesday glasses on, do you see this? Do you see this yourself in him, and you mind it?
No, I think me and Matt were both saying we want them to do that even more. But if you saw Sam Allison's performance for both sides, I think not really. He was every free kick, throwing corner. You were a bit like, it should have gone the other way. So Bannon, getting in his ear. I think there was one where we didn't get a foul near the edge of the box, and then he went up the other end and he gave a foul for them, and then Bannon's going over to him. So I think, Bannon is like that anyway. So I think they've just got to, take it for what it is.
We'll stay on Bannon, actually. We've got another one to throw at you, Matt. You won't like this one. Ben says, Bannon, I love him, but almost every attacking pass is a huge looping slow ball. So defenders have all the time in the world. I mean, we won't have too much Bannon's slating on here, but has he got a point?
Yeah, he has. He's got a massive point. It's been the same since he arrived 10 years ago. The problem is he's very effective and nobody in the Championship has figured out how to stop it yet, so he's going to keep on doing it. Yeah, we do see a lot of looping passes. We're now starting to see a lot of passes hit with it's the Radio Sheffield commentary when you listen to the highlights. It's always like it's got that perfect amount of backspin underneath it, and it's not. It's just an underhit pass. Bannon will play a number of different. He has a number of different strings to his bow. He's still one of the best passers in this division for my money. In the central position, whether he's one of the best centre midfielders, I think that's another debate. But I still think in terms of actually his range of passing, he's still up there with one of the best in the division. But his default setting is to loft the ball over. He doesn't fire balls down the channel. He doesn't slip balls down the line. He does look to go over the top of defenders because our wider areas in particular, we have an awful lot of pace, which is rare for Sheffield Wednesday. So what our wide forwards do is they come towards the ball, spin and go in behind, and Bannon just clips the ball into the space. It's pointless just drilling it through that gap because we've seen several overhit passes over the course of the season when they do that. So I take the point. A lot of them are, just like long lofted things. The corner was a prime example that he took, just a lofted ball into the box, but his delivery is impeccable. You can't deny it. We've got 10 years worth of evidence to suggest it works.
Absolutely. One more for you here, Tom. Will says, not good enough. Following Danny's rally call in the press conference to push on, we were given a lacklustre and lazy performance. A team of defeated men already, it seems. Another point, sure, but still doable. But again, we drop points, fail to secure more points when others do. Do you think the players believe that playoffs are still on from what you're seeing in body language and effort?
Yeah, I mean, it was really disappointing, especially after the derby, to turn up like that. I think because of the international break, you saw Charles on the bench, and if that's what we've got to come next season, potentially without Danny Röhl, I'm fearing the worst next season. I think we might be down there if we don't invest heavily, because without Bernard, maybe Shea Charles, and even Michael Smith, just a competent striker, we've got some League One players in there. It was one of the worst first halves I've ever seen in a long, long time. I don't think we even got out of our half. Then at least we got a set piece goal. So that, set piece coach has come back off his annual leave or something, because we haven't been. I can't remember the last one, to be honest. He got a few in the start. I mean, since then. Okay.
We'll leave the Cardiff game there. Then Hull City up next, and then Blackburn. Two teams which are. One is desperately out of form in Rovers, and of course you went to Ewood last year, and that was the really kind of, I think that fixture last year was the belief game, wasn't it, that made every Wednesday fan realise you could actually stay up when Ainsley Pears dropped that, let the ball roll through into goal. And Hull City, Matt, are a funny old side. They actually prefer playing away from home, and of course last time they played in Sheffield, they rocked up to Bramall Lane and actually took the 3 points. So not going to be an easy one, this.
Battered them is the phrase, Mark. Absolutely battered them. You've got to get that in because they don't get battered much this year.
Yeah.
Shame about next year, though, boys. I would say, this is a really difficult game. When we played Hull in quick succession right at the start of the season. It was the game where Sheffield Wednesday were 1 day short of breaking the penalty streak record away at Hull, and won 2-1, 2-0. One of the two. And we looked comfortable on the evening. We also went there in the Carabao Cup early doors, and we saw 2 Charlie McNeil goals, a rare sighting of Charlie McNeil on the pitch, let alone scoring. They're a very different proposition now, judging by kind of like what I've seen of them since Sellers has come in. I still look at their squad and think, I'm not quite sure how you are where you are. It does appear that they're the sort of team who, if they turn up and it sort of clicks a little, very similar to what kind of, I suppose, the Stoke result was at the weekend, Mark, in terms of if they turn up and it just works, they have the ability to score and everybody goes, well, why are they where they are? But also they have that very Jekyll and Hyde nature of what we saw at the weekend from Hull with the Luton kickoff in the start of the second half, where it's blasted against the defender and just runs into the back of the net. I really hope we see I think let's deal with, if you were talking about playoffs first, it's a must win. Like you can't have a draw here. Like there's no way, you have to win. And you have to start fixing some of that home form with 7 games left to go. You can't do much of it, but in these 7 games left, you've got to win your home games. I think it's going to be a very similar game to the Cardiff one in terms of performance from Wednesday, performance from the opposition, and also ultimately, I think, a similar scoreline.
Okay. Cheers for that. Join us next week when, of course, we're looking back on that game. The consortium news is rolling on. Now, I know we can't really kind of predict where this is going to go, but I mean, Tom, Matt, either of you update us as to where we are, what you crystal ball gazing think will happen with this?
I mean, I think Matt's more in the know than me, to be honest. But yeah, I've just heard rumours, to be honest. But maybe he knows a bit more.
Okay. There's not really been too much progress in terms of, from my understanding of it, is there's not been too much progress from a actual footballing side of things. Is a takeover imminent? No, I don't think that's the case. Is there a lot more? And this is difficult because I'm aware that everybody says, well, until I've heard it, because everybody's got a mate called Dave who tells them everything. However, there is quite a large, I'd say a large group. There is a individual who is contemplating putting a bid in for Sheffield Wednesday. That individual is backed by a number of others, and it will become, I think, a individual owner with a consortium of people. Having said that, I would also anticipate that when one bid goes in, there'll be multiple, because once one person sees that Sheffield Wednesday is up for sale and it is being dealt with, we have heard a number of rumours over the past couple of months of people who have been very interested in Sheffield Wednesday and purchasing it. So I would imagine that there are a couple of people who do chuck their hat into the ring as well. The only one I would like to steer clear of is a peddler of really big and oversized mugs and sporting goods. That's the only one I would really like to steer clear of. But aside from that, I think Tom will also be able to chime in on this as well. I think the Chancery ownership has run its course, and there now has to be a acceptance of, right, I'm either going to completely wholesale and change what my approach has been entirely, and I'm going to find additional funding from somewhere. That is probably likely going to be something like Man United, where they've got to sell off part of the club to an investor, or you sell the whole thing. It's got to be one of the two, because what are we going to do? We're going to sit here in the summer with potentially no manager, no transfer budget, and the needing of 11 players with no funds to go and do it. How do you do that?
Yeah, I did have a go on the Euro Millions last week, and it went to 202 million. And I thought, I mean, how much can I buy Sheffield Wednesday for?
That will probably buy about half of it.
Yeah, good question, Mark. Good question, Mark. I think, to be fair, this is something that has been joked about a lot, like with regards to the actual figure and fee. Just for comparison, our neighbours down the road were sold for 101 million. Birmingham were sold for 22 million. A figure somewhere in the middle of that would probably buy you Sheffield Wednesday. I'd suggest save you 200 million and go and do something. Go on a beach somewhere, mate, and just make a nice signing for Everton. I'm sure everybody would really appreciate it.
We're going to end up with like a consortium of a Yeovil and Reading owner, and then if not, we'll it'll be Mike Ashley after we go into administration in a few years, I think. But,
Right, well, there you go. Get on the Euro Millions. I didn't win it anyway. I just pipe dream, but there you go. You could buy Sheffield Wednesday and Blackburn, I thought, given the two clubs there. Right. Cheers for that, fellas. We're looking at the Fair Play League this week, because there have been some suggestions from a couple of people over the course of the season that Wednesday perhaps aren't nasty enough and actually too nice of a team, given all we've said about Bannon. So we thought we'd have a look at the data to see whether that's backed up. And here you are, mid-table, once again.
Can we be top of something? Like...
No, because when I look at the penalty league table, you're not top of that either. 69 yellow cards, two reds. I mean, okay, you can see Leeds there at the top of it. Preston, if just out of interest, Preston the top of it with 5 red cards and 91 yellow cards. But I mean, Tom, when you watch your side, do you get a sense that they are a little bit, dare I use the word, powder puff at times?
Yeah, I think not too much. I think we are mid-table. I think we just average at that. I think what we do need to improve is, pressure in the ref and a bit more of the dark arts, taking a man down. But in terms of yellows and reds and standard fouls, I think we are just in the middle.
Yeah, Matt. I mean, does that surprise you when you look there? You're not top of the foul play league. You're not the nicest, but you're certainly in that bracket of being a bit soft.
I personally think we're a bit soft as a side. I think we have been for a few years. We saw a spell where there was a little bit of steel re-added into it last year, and a spell where we were promoted originally from there. But we've had this at our core for a number of years, and I think that's probably reigns true from the amount of players who still persist from kind of like years gone by. It's not a bad thing to be soft, but it doesn't help. I think a side who need to have a little bit more grit to them. It doesn't help when, especially when we were on that horrendous run of non-penalty decisions, and you would see players blatantly brought down in the box and nobody going over and appealing, as Tom said, like nobody bothers going around the ref. Everyone just goes, "I'll make the right call, won't I?"
There was a couple of them in the derby, wasn't there? That's pointed out why no one's the referee. Yeah. Does it therefore surprise you then, Tom, that when you put all the players in the league in order of the dirtiest players, that Sheffield Wednesday have the second dirtiest player in the entire division?
Slightly. Can I see who it is? Just
Let's have a look, shall we? So Deshaun Bernard has to his name 1 red card, 7 yellows. The only player dirtier than him is your mate at Sheffield United, of course, in Majic. Is that surprising that Bernard is the second dirtiest player in the league?
I don't think he's dirty. I think he's just covering for all the mess that's around him, and he's having to deal with it. But yeah, but also when he got the red, that was a disaster class of, I don't know if it was after a half. He should have been sent off about 3 times before that as well. It was
so bad.
Yeah, it's probably come from one game, but yeah, a bit surprising.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, he's not a dirty player, mate. He's not like a.
No, I think Tom's got it absolutely spot on. I could not have said it better. I think he's covering for all the other nonsense that's around him. And as he rightly pointed out, I'm convinced that that's the only reason that Sheffield United paid 13 million for Tom Cannon, because he got Deshaun Bernard sent off and 2 yellows. It was, that was appalling. He went through a little spell of like blatant handballs, yellow cards for dragging people down, tripping people up. Oh man, I wish he was speedy recovery so we can see some more of this.
I remember everyone was screaming to take him off after the first one, because everyone was like stonewall red. He gets away with it and everyone's like, take him off, and then 5 minutes later he does it again and you're like, oh.
So stupid.
Brilliant. Right. Finally this week, before we go, do drop us a subscribe and a like. We're building this channel up nicely, so thank you for all that. We're doing 15 subscribers away from 100. Come on, you can help us get there. Club or country row has broken out again during the national break. I don't think anyone's got else to talk about these boring England games. So here we go, Tom. Wednesday winning a trophy of any nature you want. You can have the Papa Johns, you can have the league, you can have the FA Cup, or England winning next summer the World Cup. You can only see one in your lifetime. What would it be?
Yeah, I think I'd rather Wednesday win a throw-in, to be honest. But I think, yeah. But to be fair, I want England to win, but seeing us win a trophy in my lifetime is basically all I want, really. Maybe not Papa John's. Maybe I'd take a World Cup over a Papa John's, but everything else, yeah, I'd take that.
Okay, Matt?
No, it's not a debate for me, Mark. It's Wednesday winning anything. Like, as Tom said, a throw-in, I'll stretch it to 3 points against Hull on Saturday.
Well, that's really,
I mean, I have genuinely, it's not because I don't care about international football. It's I have such a disassociation from the England national side. I think just because it is so far removed from the football that myself and Tom watch on a weekly basis. And the Premier League is, again, for a side that's coming up onto 26 years out of it now, so far away. These players are. Do you know what? I'd genuinely, at this point in time, I'd rather see Northern Ireland do well because of Pearson Shea Charles than I would England. It's a really strange situation to be in. But yeah, I would rather Sheffield Wednesday beat Hull on Saturday than England win a World Cup.
Yeah. And weirdly, our whole City fans said exactly the same thing. Forget about that. Just let us win at Hillsborough on Saturday. Right. Join us next week as we talk about that whole game. We're also talking about the best goals of the season next week as well. So get your thinking caps on. We're going to count down what's the best hit we've seen in the last 9 months. So join us for that. Thanks, Tom. Thank you, Matt. And thank you very much for watching. Have a good one. Enjoy the whole game.